Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a problem. I want to throw really far, but after giving a lot of effort, we're still not throwing super far. But thankfully, Coach and I have talked, and there's two major roadblocks holding us back. Before we dive in, we got to ask the most important question of the day. How you doing today, Josiah? You having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you know that I really want to throw far. Not only because I want to see the disc like soar through the air, but also I think that in a town like Birmingham where there aren't a lot of huge distance holes, I'm going to be able to play some pretty incredible golf, being able to throw slower discs at longer distances. Such as the failure here of trying to throw a 330-foot shot over and over again and failing miserably. And you're not going to fight out either, are you? Now, later in the year last year, I started working with Clint Easterly, or Blitz DG, that you can find in a variety of places, but YouTube's obviously a very easy one to find. We started working on some distance potential, and one thing that Clint attacked that I thought was really unique is that for those I am not a very strong individual. I don't have a lot of workout experience, and if you've never seen Clint before, yeah, that guy's got a lot of muscles. Now, I've had one prevailing issue that folks have pointed out over the internet for years and years and years, and that is I have a lot of swoop in my throw. And that comes from years of Ultimate Frisbee, but also it comes from what we didn't realize was just a particularly weak elbow. My body is hyper fixated on trying to protect this elbow and not injure itself. And so because of this, there is this massive roadblock that I'm having to overcome, because subconsciously, if I ever turn my brain off and just let my body throw, the elbow goes from good power positions to dip and falls in the space, the pocket collapse. Even if the pocket doesn't collapse, it goes from a nice 90-degree position that I'm trying to get to a lower position because I just want to protect this elbow. I think back to mid-year last year where I injured myself in the middle of an event, and because of that, I had to take at least a month off where I couldn't even throw a disc, much less the amount of time that it took to come back and recover. And I'm going to be 100% honest, trauma feels like probably a very dramatic word, but that's exactly what it is. As soon as my elbow starts to feel any sort of fear or pain or anything like that, my body just retracts into a shadow of itself, a shadow of its form that I'm trying to accomplish in order to protect it at all costs. So while our footwork is moving in the right direction, if we're going to continue on the road to 450, we've got to fix one major milestone: this elbow. Got to make sure that it doesn't collapse. So if you struggle with elbow collapse, let's talk about a few drills that I've been trying to do to help train my body to do the right motion. I said in the intro that there were two things we had to work on. And the second one is a lot more fun for those of you who are looking for a good time. And it's a drill that I feel like, man, where has this been in disc golf internet world? So here's what happens in the disc golf form. When we go from this feels like a good position to trying to move fast in order to get the throw to occur, we often default to safe positions. These are positions where subconsciously your body is doing everything it can to not put itself in a vulnerable spot, and this occurs all the time. I feel like the most dramatic form of this would be if I decided to fall backwards here. I have to fight every fiber in my being to not kick my foot back and catch myself, because my body tells itself, silly Mr. YouTube man, that's gonna hurt. And when it comes to doing athletic motions, our body first knows what to do, but it also actively on the other side of the coin knows what not to do to hurt itself. So the first drill is putting my body in good positions and just firing from there. Looks like this. Now this is where we give pro tip A673. If you're trying to improve your form, one of the best things you can do is record yourself. Another thing that helps in getting that elbow forward for me has been momentum of bringing the line back to get that elbow out and pronounced so that the hand can come through properly. We want the hand to come through versus it dipping and then the hand sort of supinating and rolling over the top. But because we're so focused on the upper body, standstill's completely okay. Now we want to keep drilling this until it becomes subconscious. But I have two issues with this, and the biggest one being that my body so subconsciously doesn't want my elbow to stay high because it's afraid of injury. And the second is that when you go fast or try to throw harder in disc golf, your body slides further into subconscious habits. So therefore, number one feeds number two. And when I have to throw faster discs, chaos ensues. Thus, Clint had another idea. Maybe instead of just trying over and over again a billion methods of trying to make sure that the elbow is just gonna fix itself and slowing things down, trying to increase power, what if we attacked it from a different angle with something else? Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. The only way for me to start throwing farther is to just get absolutely so swole, dude. I mean, after all, the math adds up. Clint throws super far. Clint is super swole. Clint landed on the idea recently that maybe my elbow just doesn't trust me. It wants to do the athletic motion, but it also doesn't want to be hurt. And because of that, no amount of disc golf drills or anything is necessarily going to fix that problem, because my issue with the elbow is at an anatomical level. So rather than trying to tackle it just inside the realm of disc golf, what if we bring in a whole other world and try to increase just the overall strength of everything inside of my elbow, so that when I start injecting power and hitting it, I'm not afraid of things collapsing. It knows that everything inside the elbow is strong. So Clint gave 2 exercises that I think are actually super helpful, because whether you're trying to be a deep pocket thrower where you're very deep inside of this, or you happen to have elbow dip in general, which is generally the body sort of trapping and wanting to go into a quote strong position, I think we have to start addressing disc golf as exactly what it is, a sport. Now, I'm the type of person that when I'm trying to get into the gym, I do it in a very, very, very terrible fashion. I'm the guy that my wife says, hey, we're going to the gym. We're gonna start going to the gym. It's gonna be fantastic. And I'm like, well, I can be down for that. Let's do it. Meanwhile, I'm over here Googling how to get a body like Chris Hemsworth in the gym. And as you can guess, that doesn't usually go very well for me. I get injured very fast. So we started low weights. There were 2 exercises that Clint wants me to do multiple sets a day. The first is hammer curls, which is just simply taking the dumbbell, you can get these for super cheap on Amazon, and just curling over and over again. What this is really helping me with is that there's going to be a part of the throw where I am curling the disc into this powerful position. Trying to do at least 5 sets of 10 a day. We're trying to build up muscle and really just get blood flowing to all of the muscles and ligaments inside of this joint. Now, I mentioned before that I have a newborn, which means that during tummy time, I often find myself laying down on the ground with Leo right next to me. Little man has several wake windows throughout the day, and so if I'm hanging out with him, I'm often just here laying on the ground. He's playing with his little jungle playset, and I'm just sitting here watching him play or sending messages on my phone. And this is where exercise number 2 came in. That's right, we're talking triceps. Simply lining the elbow up, here, here. This is to represent when the disc is being launched out. The disc is coming to the power pocket, and from here I have rotated, I've hit the brace, and everything needs to fire out. But if the muscles aren't strong around the elbow, when it goes to fire out, whew, let me guess, injury awaits us around the corner. My distance gains are held back by my inability to get my elbow where it needs to be in the proper position. Disc golf is an incredibly positional sport. Position equals position, and when you get in the right positions, you start getting distance and positive results. My body can understand this on the putting green, can understand it on up shots, but for some reason, when it comes to distance shots, it is just so afraid because of a weak elbow. So at this point in the video, you may be thinking to yourself, okay, Mr. YouTube man, I just need to like work out and get on that grind. I don't think that's what I'm necessarily saying, but I do believe that often inside of disc golf, we are just searching inside of the disc golf sphere for all of our answers, and we're not treating ourselves like athletes, trying to get out here and improve our physical shape, because if we can get in better physical shape, I promise that it will help our on-the-course behavior as well. Maybe, just maybe, the problem you're facing in disc golf distance gains could simply be at an anatomical level. I promised you 2 things that we were struggling with. First was the elbow. The second was a severe lack of coil. Nah, I don't think that's big enough, that guy. Yeah, that's a better representation. The idea of a coil is just like you would think in springs, where you are trying to create sort of tension that can unload itself. Most often, coil can be represented in disc golf by the lower body being in one position and the upper body being in a twisted or opposite position. Then, as you go to throw, things uncoil, and explode for just all the distance. Now, people struggle with coil, myself included, because if you don't have a proper hit point, which can certainly come from your elbow dipping, not being able to get a consistent release point out, so you're afraid every single time that you overcoil and get moving backwards at all, when is this disc going to slip out? So we don't coil back near enough, which means that when you do get a hold of the disc, you're going to grip lock it way off into the stratosphere and sort of the opposite direction that you're going, because you didn't coil all the way, so when the throw actually hits, you're already too far forward. Thus, according to Clint, enter the dragon. And no, that wasn't trying to point out like, oh, look how big my bicep is. It's just very convenient that this drill is called single dragon, and I have a single dragon on my arm. I had this idea at the moment I was shooting the whole video that that frame was gonna happen. Now, Clint's got a video on his channel talking about single dragon. I'll put a link in the description, and the drill is rather straightforward. We're gonna stand in a standstill position, feet prepped, ready to go. The idea is to feel coil. So at the start, you're gonna turn this foot backwards, and you're just gonna kick this foot back in the air. See what this feels like. You can see when I do this, my hips turn backwards. Voila. Now next, instead of having my foot facing backwards like so, I'm gonna take this back foot and I'm gonna turn it where it is properly positioned, perpendicular to where I'm trying to throw. Perpendicular meaning out across. Foot is facing this way. Now, I'm gonna try kicking again. And you can see and feel the tension that this puts on the back of the leg. Third, I'm gonna put my upper body in the position that I want it to be in, and I'm going to do the same motion. You can see this plants me into the proper position here. I unload the coil, I'm here. And last but not least, I cannot start reaching the disc back until this foot has started crossing forward. What this is gonna do is encourage that my foot actually hits the plant before I fire through. This is going to create some form of a brace that when I uncoil and load into, everything is going to stop and jam here. The obvious sign, because you're recording yourself while you do this, is that you want, while the foot is back here, to have a little bit of lean in this position so that momentum is holding you right here. I don't want to be on the extreme side here, but I want to be just far enough back that bang. And then once I'm in this position, I simply lean into it, let the foot hit, come through, and fire with reckless abandon. But Mr. YouTube man, I immediately watched your elbow dip back. Yes, because these issues are entirely independent of one another. I need to make sure that I'm not doing too many single dragons to not discourage the work that we're doing on the elbow, but I also want to make sure that I'm using single dragon so that I'm not getting used to mistimed throws because of the fact that I'm not coiling properly. Isn't disc golf fun sometimes? Now I want to tell you two of my favorite parts about single dragon that have been fun. This is a drill that absolutely leans into your body's natural desire to get into correct positions, which means for most people, you can do this very quickly. I, alongside Clint, would advise starting slow and not going full power right off the rip so that you don't injure things, because there's a chance that you're getting into deep or power positions you may have never achieved inside of disc golf before. And the second is that if you just do this during warm up and get to your course 5-10 minutes early, do some stretches and do this exercise, the best part is you could easily do this on the tee box throughout your entire round. Simply line it up, get into the proper positions, but you do have to hold on to the disc. Clank. Oop. There you could tell my body wanted to let go of the disc. I didn't hold on to it. I didn't wait for things to plant, which after this throw brings up two, I would say, common issues that Clint and I have already talked about for me personally that maybe lots of folks who try to implement this are gonna find that aren't addressed in the initial video. The first is on the kick. For some reason, it can be a natural tendency for people when they're doing this because their feet are facing towards the camera right here. When they do the kickback, like they're playing soccer and want to pass the football. That's right, Robbie C's International, baby. Backwards like so. We want to make sure that we're engaging with the kick and we're actually sort of turning the gluteus maximus to our target. We're kicking with the front of the foot, which causes even more coil. If you're watching this video and you want to stand up and do this exercise, you can feel just how much more coil occurs when you go from sideways to full kick backwards. Obviously, we still want this back foot to stay pointing in this direction, but a full kick backwards is absolutely necessary and helps you get the most out of this drill. And the second thing that I would encourage is to full commit. Oftentimes I feel like on this move, you could end up in a world where you're just trying to half doing it, baby feeling the coil. This drill works better and better the more you are willing to give it, the more you're willing to lean into what you're actually trying to accomplish. If you get into the right position to start and you full commit, you know that when this foot comes through and it starts coming through, you can coil as much as you want to. But because this foot is gonna hit and it's gonna plant, as you come through, as long as you hold on, you're going to have a brace that's gonna let the disc fire. The moments that I find myself enjoying this drill the most are when I'm willing to full commit. There, did I full commit? Sure didn't. Let it slip right out of my hand, and therefore, not great. All right, so I definitely messed up recording the outro to this video, but I hope this video has been helpful and hope you guys enjoyed the, oh, hey buddy. Hope you guys enjoyed a more storytelling approach, and that these 2 tips are something that you can really focus on and see improvements in your game. I really do think single dragon is something that, even with some other things happening, teaches you coil in such a cool way that you'll be able to see some immediate use while on the course. So make sure you check out Blitz's channel over at BlitzDG. I'll put a link in the description below. I want to say thank you as always for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdies.